Hey guys, my name is Ozzy, and in this video I'm gonna show you guys how to create this folder gradient icon using Inkscape. This specific style of icon is pretty trendy lately because Microsoft has just announced its new icon lineup for Windows 11. This style consists of simple shape and using a smooth shadow, so it's kind of semi-realistic. Let me know what do you think about it, and yeah, let's get into it. Alright, here we are in the Inkscape interface. First of all, we want to create a base shape of the folder, which is rectangle. So let's add a rectangle by using this object, or just press R to have that. I'm just gonna left clicking it and drag out to have our random rectangle like this. And we want to have the opacity into 50%, and the width we want it to have 100% width, and the height into 75 pixels height. Alright. And now we want to have like a dongle above of this rectangle to have the folder shape. So let's select this this rectangle, Ctrl+D to duplicate that and add a red color to differentiate it from everything. And the width, we want that to have 37.5 pixel width, and the height is 12.5 pixels height. And make sure you snap it on this left side of this rectangle, and make sure you turn on the snapping. If it's gray out like this, it means it's turned off, so you want to turn that on. And right now we have this this thing over here, and let's convert this into a path. So go to the path, object to path, and I'm just gonna use the the nodes tool, press N to have it. And with this, you want to select these only nodes over here, and select that, hold Control and drag it to the left, and make sure you have a little bit of skew from these nodes to these nodes, around 15 degrees of a leanness. So we want to have that around this. So it's important you have this a folder shape like this before we go even further. So we have this both object that we have just created. So let's select both of them, and then go to the path union. So they are become one, and you want to delete these unnecessary nodes because it is important to keep our vector object have a highest quality, which means that you want to get rid of any redundant nodes that is unnecessary. So back to the selection tool, and we want to duplicate this thing because we want to create the front cover of the folder shape. So Ctrl+D and give it a yellow color, so it is contrast from the black color behind it. And back to the nodes tool by pressing N, and we want to select all of the nodes that is on the bottom, and I'm just gonna select the upward arrow key on your keyboard and press it 2 times, 1, 2, like that, and select every nodes on the top just like before, but instead we're gonna use the downward arrow key and press it 2 times, 1, 2, like that. And I'm just gonna select just these only 2 nodes over here from this leanness that we have just created, and press it a couple of times until it sits pretty much on the bottom of these 2 objects. So select this both, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times downward arrow keys pressed on your keyboard to have this kind of shape. So we have this kind of trapezium shape like this. So it's important you have this base of this folder shape over here. And right now it's just a matter of creating a rounded radius around this object. So let's select the yellow object over here, go to the path, a path effects, and we're gonna add a corner path effects to add a corner radius around the corner, just like I mentioned before. And you know what? I think this thing is not really downward enough from these nodes. I'm just gonna press it once again like that. I'm just gonna add a corner pad effects. And as you see, we have a couple of settings over here, and everything is just set to default, just like on my screen over here. And the unit is set to pixels. And the only thing that we want to add is change only selected nodes, which means that we just add a radius, only the nodes if we just select it. So yeah. So back to your selection, to the nodes tool by pressing N for the shortcut. And I'm just gonna select this node, hold shift, this node, and this node, and this node. I'm just gonna press this plus icon to add a radius, and I want to have a 5 pixels radius. So we have this kind of radius over here, so it's pretty good. And on these 2 objects, I'm just gonna add another radius, which is like maybe just 2 pixels radius. I think it's enough. Yeah, 2 pixels is enough. And with this yellow object selected, I'm just going to the pad, object to pad, to apply the corner pad effects. So if we use our nodes tool, you'll see that we can change the nodes however we like. And what we want to do right now is add another corner radius, but this time on this object, which is this gray object or black object, and add pad effects, the corner pad effects. And the setting is the same as before. Change only selected nodes have been added, and the rest is just set at default. And select this thing, hold shift, these nodes, and these nodes. I'm gonna add a 5 pixels radius, and on this thing we're gonna add like just 2 pixel radius. And on these nodes over here, it's pretty special because we're gonna add the highest number of a radius, maybe 7 pixel radius around everything. Yeah, 7 pixel radius. And yeah, I think it's pretty much good. And now go to the pad, object to pad, to apply the pad effects. And as you see, our folder shape is pretty much done. The only thing that we need is to add a paper on this side, so it looks like it has a fill on the folder. So to do that, to add the paper, we want to duplicate this object, Control+D, and we're gonna add a red color, and we're gonna mirror it horizontally, flip it horizontally with this icon. You select that, and maybe just blue color. Yeah, it's way contrasting. And I'm just gonna use the nodes tool, press N to have that, and just select every nodes on this left side. And just like before, I'm just gonna use our right arrow key and press it 2 times to the right, 1, 2, like that. And right now we have this kind of gap over here, so that's what we want. And right now we want to have just this object over here, just this look over here. As you see, we have this darkest blue, and that's the only thing that we want. The rest is just unnecessary, so we need to get rid of that. So let's select this yellow object. You will know it by this fill status over here. It's turned yellow, which means that you have selected the yellow object. Control+D, hold shift and click on the blue object, go to the path, difference, and that's it. This is our object of here. And as you see, if I select this blue object, it's the selection radius, it's pretty big. I think there is some sort of a bug in Inkscape where there is the node is not deleted around here. And you select all of this node over here and press delete on your keyboard. Somehow there is a bug in Inkscape. Let's do that. And now we have this only object over here, and now our base shape is completely complete. And the next thing that we want to do is to have our color added. And just like I mentioned before, we want to create a gradient object, not a flat design, But before we get into the gradients, we need to have the flat color applied first. So press Ctrl plus A to select everything. Let's go to this fill and stroke column and opacity into 100% and select this yellow object, and we're gonna add a yellow color like this. It's pretty good yellow in my opinion. And we want to add a gradient, but before we apply the gradient, let's apply the base color to other object as well. And on this big black object behind it, I want that to have a yellow color but slightly darker like that, and this thing, the paper, just a white color. And yeah, I'm just gonna select this big yellow object, and I'm gonna add a linear gradients by pressing this linear gradient icon and press G on your keyboard. And on this darker side of the gradients, it's not really darker, it's just the opacity is just 0. You want to increase that, and you want to select on the left side, and we're gonna turn this into a way lighter color like before. And as you see, I have my HSL tab selected. You want to have the same one. And on the lightness, I'm gonna add from 58 into 68 lightness, as you see there. And I'm just gonna drag out to the top, and on the right side I'm just gonna drag out to the bottom like this. So we have our color selected. I think 68 is not enough, maybe 78. Yes, 78, it's pretty contrasting. I like the color. And you want to have it's, vertically straight, so hold the control to have the gradient right like this. And we're gonna do the same thing with this darker yellow shade linear gradient. Press G to have our gradient tool, and gradient on this right nodes gradient opacity into 100%, and change this left side into way lighter color from 42 into 62 like that. And just like before, we're gonna make the gradient into vertical, straight vertical gradient like this. And now, as you see, our color is pretty much done for the folder, except for this white color, which is the paper itself. Because the paper, we're gonna add like a shadow behind it. I want to have a linear gradient, but it doesn't feel right. We want to have a shadow behind it. So to add the shadow, we're gonna select this object for here, Ctrl plus D, and give it a black color. So we have our shadow, and we're gonna increase the blur by 30% and the opacity into 15%, so it doesn't too dark. And we're gonna select this and lower that to the bottom like this, and we want to lower this thing as well to the bottom so it sits behind the shadow like this. But as you see, we have this bleed out shadow like this, and we don't want that because we want to have a smooth shadow just around the icon, just not on the documents like that. So let's select this folder again, hold Alt, select that again, and if you see on the fill status, you have the black color, the opacity have increased, which means that you have selected the shadow itself. So increase this to the top, so selection to the top, press that, and we want to clip this shadow just onto this object over here that I've just selected. So Ctrl plus D to have this thing selected, and hold Shift and Alt, and I'm gonna select the object again, and as you see, I have the blur and the opacity increase, which means that I've just selected the shadow behind it. So we want to clip that, go to Object, Clip, Set, and as you see, if I drag out this object, we have this smooth. As you see, it's blurred, but the edge is pretty much smooth. That's because we have clipped the shadow onto this object over here. So that's what we want. And just like before, we're gonna lower the shadow so it sits on the right position like this. I think that's right. And yeah, press Ctrl plus A to select everything, Ctrl plus G to group everything, and yeah, our gradient folder icon is done. So that's how you create the icon. What do you think about this style? Is Microsoft have set a right path for Windows 11 or no? And let me know what type of content for this channel in the future. As always, thank you for your time.